Hello, I'm Dr. James Wharton. I am the head of the Decodoku project, and someone has submitted to me a save file in which I have a score of 276 for the game Decodoku Colors. So this is the first video in an experiment in which I will try and explain what they did as far as I can see it in the video. So they did submit to me a explanation of what they did. So their method is basically that pairs of symbols are the highest priority. So here we have a group number 2, which is just a pair. Here we have another, which is just a pair, and another pair, another pair, another pair, and another pair. We often start off with pairs, so that's not really surprising. It'll be a high priority just to get rid of these pairs. As things progress, you might have groups that have 3 symbols in, they'll become the next priority. And if there's no small group, they just reduce big groups in whichever direction is longest. Big groups will not be a concern until they're about to reach from side to side, which is game over, or the 2 big groups are about to join each other because they are so close, in which case their frontier should be eroded. So let's go through and see what they did. So here's what we start with, and then we have this. So this pair of symbols here, which was group number 6, has been removed. Then it goes on, group number 3 removed, and then goes on, group number 5 was removed, and then the 4s, and then we have new stuff. So we've got a couple of pairs here, an isolated pair, 3 things, and an isolated pair. What are they going to go for? So they go for the pair which is next to these 3 things, which is probably good because if they all join together, that gives something which is a bit of a mess. Now, instead of dealing with the obvious pairs, which is what they say in their rules is the highest priority, actually they remove this group. But that's maybe less premeditated and more because their finger was down there. Then this group which was here gets removed, and then the 5s which were there are removed, and now we have new stuff. 666. So what goes on here? Well, they first get rid of this pair of 4s, which is out in the middle of nowhere. Well, all of these pairs are fairly separated, so there's the 3s here gone. I guess it doesn't really matter which order you do them in. Here, instead of getting rid of those 1s, the 6s are contracted. Now, more happens. So in the next move, the 2 1s were removed, and then more errors happened. This creates a bunch of pairs, 2 of them quite close together, and this pair of 6s was again turned into a triplet. So the 2 pairs close together are dealt with by getting rid of one of them, and then what happens next is getting rid of this pair, which were group number 3, and then the 2s. Now more errors come, and again these 6s get a bit worse. We have a couple of pairs next to each other, and another pair next to them, and then this one's quite isolated. So what is done is to get rid of the isolated pair, and then start dealing with these 3 pairs that are all together until they're all gone, and then contract this one here. Now we have some more stuff again. What do we do with it? Well, firstly it's this pair of 5s that's got rid of, and then the 3s down the side were removed, and then these 1s, we have 2 triplets, and he goes for the one at the bottom. Now we have more, these 6s still making trouble, but they are ignored just to get rid of pairs. So very much the kind of thing that is being described in the description, getting rid of pairs. So maybe we should just zoom forward in time until things aren't quite so simple. So maybe let's go for 100 as a good number. So all the way to 100. These sixes are still making trouble, and other than that, we've got pairs, 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 and a triplet. So everything's still pretty much as it was. So starts by getting rid of the pair of fours here, and then the pair of twos, pair of sevens, and the pair of ones that were here. And then more stuff comes. It's mostly again just a bunch of pairs, although we have a triplet of threes, and of course the big horrible six group. And we work at getting rid of those pairs. So it's still continuing very much as it was before. Let's go to say 120 and see if anything different's going on down here. So we have a bunch of pairs. We have this horrible group of threes, and we have this group of sixes. So the first thing to be done is to remove the eights, which were here. So that's just a pair removal as before. And then the next thing to be removed is the fours that were here. And then we get rid of the ones. And then we separate the sixes from the threes. So there's still pairs to be got rid of, but it was judged that now is the time to separate these groups. So what's really changed here? So here we had, I suppose, quite a few pairs that were butting onto these threes, and there could have been something which caused these threes to get bigger. So the first priority was to get rid of those pairs, but only after that did they truncate. Of course, you have 5 moves to play with. Which order you do them in doesn't really matter, so it could have been decided that it was very important to truncate these, but you just decided to do those ones first for no particular reason. But it is nevertheless decided that separating these is more important than getting rid of those 5s. Than getting rid of those 5, but getting rid of these 7s is the next thing to do, and that's what leads us into move number 125, in which we have all of this stuff. So now we still have the horrible 6s, we have a triplet of 3s, we have a triplet of 5s, also we have a quadruplet of 3s, and then we've got a few pairs here. So what goes on is to let's see, I'm not quite sure what went on there. Oh, there was a pair of 2s here, they were removed, and then the pair of the 1s at the top were removed, and then the 4s that were down here were removed, and then the 9s that were over here were removed. So it's all getting rid of pairs until the next bunch comes: triplet of 2s, triplet of 3s, pair of 4s, pair of 7s, quadruplet of 5s, 8s, pair of 1s, and a horrible bunch of 6s. So what goes on first here? Well, we get rid of the 7s, so that's a pair gone. Get rid of the 4s, another pair gone. And get rid of the 8s. So again, getting rid of pairs. He's staying very true to what he said he's going to do. So really, I'm not finding anything in this method where I'm wondering why he's doing what he's doing rather than something else. He is staying quite true to his method. Now there's some times where I wonder why he is separating groups when he could be removing pairs. So there's a question I would like to ask if you're listening, and I'll email it to you if you're not. Sometimes you separate groups when there are still pairs to be got rid of. So what's the thinking there? Can you explain that? Otherwise, it's pretty obvious what's going on. The 6s are now called 1s. They're getting pretty bad, but so are the 3s. So we've separated them into the 2 corners. I say we. It was the player who did this. he hasn't provided a username, so I'm going to assign him the username Charles. So Charles has what used to be the 6s and also this horrible bunch of 3s, and it's probably going to be the 3s that kill him, although it could very much be the 7s that were once 6s. Oh, they're now 1s. So this happens when groups combine with each other. Or very dodgy. Let's go all the way to the end and we'll see what happens. Oh well, it's the 6s. It's that number of the beast, which eventually causes the end of the world. Not so surprisingly, I suppose. So that was his method. You can check it out, not in a crappy video, but in a spreadsheet, which maybe is more fun. But that was the method of Charles, not of me, because most people are better than me at my own game. Thanks for listening.